What's going on, guys? So today we are going to be replacing O2 sensors, more specifically the downstream O2 sensors. So these are the sensors that monitor how well the catalytic converter is actually working, and one of the heater matrix in mine that is currently in the car has gone bad and it is throwing a code, so we're going to replace them. I like to replace them in pairs, so I'll replace both downstreams at the same time or both upstreams at the same time. So as far as actual sensors go, I got these guys off of Amazon. The downstream and the upstream are actually the same part number according to Real OEM. Leave the part number in the description as well as a link to where I got these O2 sensors. Tools we will be using: a 22mm open-ended box end wrench. Now if you're not going to drop the exhaust system, this is the way to do it, using the 22 open-ended wrench. Because the O2 sensors are on the top side, they're actually underneath. They're kind of stuck between the exhaust system and the unibody of the car, so getting a socket in there is basically impossible. So we're not actually going to be torquing them, we're just going to be getting them nice and snug. The torque spec for them is 37 foot-pounds, but because they are where they are, we're not going to be able to get a socket wrench in there, so the 22mm box end wrench allows you to replace them without lowering the exhaust system, which makes the job a lot easier. We're going to be using a flathead screwdriver to pry open the little plastic wire harness box that holds the O2 sensor wires in it. You might need some PV blaster, you might not. In most cases, O2 sensors haven't been out in quite a long time, so they can be kind of a pain. If the last person who installed them didn't use anti-seize, then you're definitely going to want to use some PB if you can't get it off. Also, most new O2 sensors come with anti-seize on it. If you get a set that doesn't have it, be sure to put some anti-seize on there before you thread them in. A jack and jack stands. This is to get the car in the air so you can climb under it to work on it. And last but not least, the OBD2 reader. You do not have to have this. I am going to be clearing the codes myself. If you don't have an OBD2 reader and you don't want to get one, go to any auto shop. Even like an AutoZone or a Pep Boys might be able to reset the code for you. So the first thing we're going to need to do is to get the car up in the air so we can climb under it and start working on the old O2s. So we're now basically directly under the passenger seat, the passenger front seat. And if you look on the exhaust system here, you can see the catalytic converters, and then this small section of pipe is where the O2 sensors are. So you have the catalytic converters here, and then you have the downstream sensors are right above them. They're kind of a little bit up, tucked in, but they're not that hard to get to from underneath here. You don't have to tilt the whole exhaust system down to get access to these. If you have an open-ended wrench, they're not that hard to get to. So we have one sensor here, and then we have one sensor on this pipe up here. And this little black box right here, this little black box is where the wires to the O2 sensors run. So they run from up here, across, and then down into this little black box. And the connections are back up here. We'll get to those in a second. So as far as getting these guys off, in most cases they haven't been off in quite a long time, more than a couple years. If you're having a hard time breaking them loose, take some of that PB blaster I talked about and just spray on it, let it soak for a couple of minutes, and then try getting at it again. So we're going to take our 22, get it on there, smack the back of your hand to crack it loose. O2 sensors will like to fight you because they have the wires attached to them, so you just sort of got to keep constant pressure on it to keep it from spinning back. There we go, that one's out. And some of them have little clips up top, like that one. You just sort of got to pop it out to get it off the clip. There are a few, there's one back here as well. And once that one is out, we're going to feed him around mid pipe and then down like that. Now from here we're going to pop the little box open, like a flathead driver, and just sort of pop the clips open. Do it from the side, it'll pop open. And they have clips on both sides. Get the whole box out. There we go. And the wires can just sort of hang out for now. Here we have the plugins to the wiring harness for the O2 sensors. One is right here, and the other one is right here. Now I like to do one O2 sensor at a time, because if you unplug both of these and forget which sensor to which side of the exhaust, it can cause a lot of bad issues. But to avoid that, we're only going to unplug one at a time. I'm going to trace the one that I unplugged. So we're going to trace this guy, unplug the old one, and let that guy hang out for now. Now we're going to take our new O2 sensor and we're going to feed him up and around top of the mid pipe. From there we're going to take the cap off and we're going to thread him in. Kind of annoying because the wire is going to want to twist with it. Sort of move the cord out of the way while you screw it in. Alright, so once it's on there finger tight, we're going to want to pull the cord out the rest of the way. If you take the cord and sort of twist it from the top, you can get it to straighten out pretty easily. From there, we're just going to feed it, pop the line back into the little clips it was in to hold it so the wires don't touch the exhaust system, because it does get pretty hot. And there are 3 for that sensor. From here, we're just going to plug this guy into the connector that we unplugged the first one out of and pop him into place. So once we replace the other O2 sensor, we're going to run this wire back into its little harness here. But because I still have to work on this sensor, I'm not going to worry about that. If you're just doing one, then from here you would basically just put it back in. So because we're working on the other one, I'm going to pop this clip out and unplug him too. Get him off the harness. From here it's going to be the same deal for this sensor as well. This is the driver's side sensor. Get our wrench on there. Give him a nice hit. There we go. And unthread him from his hole. There we go. Take our new sensor, make sure he's in nice and snug, and untwist his wire as well. Once he's all snugged down and untwisted, we're going to plug in his connection. That guy goes back in. The best way to get the wires back into the harness are sort of push the wires in and put on the harness progressively at the same time. So we're going to feed them in, push it into position at the same time. There we go. And I like to plug this guy in on one of the clips just to make sure that he doesn't touch the exhaust pipe. Now you're supposed to torque these O2 sensors to 37 foot-pounds, but because it's so far up there, I'm not going to be able to get a socket and a torque wrench. So I like to get them just nice and snug with the box end wrench. Just going to get them nice and tight. Give them one good snug. They do have crush washers on there, so those guys crush down to prevent it from leaking. Make sure to get both of them nice and tight. Alright, so our O2 sensors are replaced. From here I just go in with my OBD2 scanner and clear the code. If you don't have an OBD2 reader and you do have the code, go to any auto shop and they should be able to clear the codes pretty easily for you. So that's it, we're done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep it fresh and I will see you guys later.